Welcome to the afterlife. You're being reincarnated as a Parasaurolophus. And before we go any further, scientists have recorded what you sound like. Not a guess, not a simulation. Using CT scans of a real Parasaurolophus skull, researchers rebuilt the resonating chambers inside your crest and calculated the exact frequencies your call produces. They played it back in 1997, and the room went quiet. We're going to get to that, but first you need to be born, and that is its own adventure. You're an egg, one of roughly 15 to 20, laid in a shallow nest scraped into warm Cretaceous earth in what will one day be New Mexico. Roughly 75 million years ago, Late Cretaceous, lush floodplain, dense with conifers and flowering plants, and a river system that floods seasonally and generously. Your nest is part of a nesting colony. There are hundreds of nests here, thousands of eggs. The adults are nearby, which is unusual for dinosaurs and important for you, because Parasaurolophus was almost certainly a creature that stayed with its young, fed them, and kept them warm. You are not alone from the start. This matters more than you know yet. You hatch. You are the size of a cat. Your crest, the long, hollow bone structure that will define your entire existence, is already present on your skull, already forming, but small. A gentle backward curve from the top of your head. It will grow with you. You already have the instrument. You just don't have the range yet. Your mother is enormous above you. She makes a sound. Low, resonant. It travels through the ground before it reaches your ears. You don't know what it means yet, but something in you responds to it before any conscious process can. Your whole small body orients towards the sound. This is the beginning of your education. Your crest is not a weapon. It is not a snorkel. It is not a thermoregulation device. These were all theories that scientists proposed and eventually abandoned. What it is, what the CT scan reconstruction proved beyond serious debate, is a resonating chamber. A hollow bone instrument, connected from the nostrils, looping backward over the skull and forward again, terminating at the nasal passages. When you breathe out through your nose with the right muscular control, the air moves through that loop of hollow bone and produces sound. Your skull is a musical instrument that you are permanently attached to. The call it produces, the actual reconstructed frequency, sits in the low register, somewhere between a foghorn and a brass instrument. It carries for kilometers. It penetrates dense forest. It travels through water. It is, for its era, one of the most effective long-distance communication signals any land animal possesses. And every Parasaurolophus in your herd has a slightly different version of it. The differences are subtle. The precise curve of the crest, the individual dimensions of the resonating chambers, the particular harmonics each animal's instrument produces. But they are real and they are consistent. Your call is your name. Your call is your identity. The herd knows who is calling before any visual confirmation is possible, from half a kilometer away, through fog, through forest, through the night. You are never truly alone as long as your crest works and there are others within range to hear it. You are now a juvenile, 3 years old, roughly 3 meters long and already beginning to understand the language. Parasaurolophus communication is not just the call. It is a system. Different amplitudes mean different things. A short burst is contact. I am here, where are you? A long sustained note is alarm. Something is wrong. Stop moving. Listen. A series of ascending tones is a gathering call. Come towards me, now. A low rumble, almost below hearing, is contentment. All is well. Keep going. You learn these the way a human child learns language. Immersion, repetition, the slow accumulation of context until pattern becomes meaning and meaning becomes instinct. Your herd numbers around 30 individuals. Different ages, different sizes, all connected through the call system that runs between them like a nervous system. Information moving faster than sight, faster than smell, through the medium of resonating bone and open air. The Albertosaurus is at the eastern tree line. You don't see it. You hear the alarm note from the adult 300 meters ahead. One sustained tone, maximum amplitude. And your body is already turning west before your eyes have confirmed anything. This is the system working. This is what 30 million years of evolution built the crest for. You run west. The herd runs west. The Albertosaurus watches 30 large dinosaurs evaporate from the clearing in under 20 seconds. And decides the mathematics don't work today. You are now fully grown, 9 meters long. You are now fully grown, 9 meters long, 3.5 tons. Your crest at full adult length, almost 1.5 meters of hollow bone curving backward from your skull like a reverse question mark. The tube inside it running the full length, the resonating chamber at full volume. When you call at full amplitude, and you rarely need to, it is audible to every Parasaurolophus in a radius that covers more ground than most modern cities. This is not a boast. This is the acoustic physics of a hollow bone instrument at full resonance, operating in dense Cretaceous air, with no industrial noise to compete with. The call goes where it needs to go, and it arrives clearly, and the herd responds to it because the herd has been responding to that call since before any of them could walk. You eat. Parasaurolophus was a browser and a grazer, your wide duck-like bill shearing vegetation efficiently, your hundreds of closely packed cheek teeth grinding it thoroughly. You eat conifers, cycads, flowering plants, whatever the floodplain offers. You eat for most of the day. A 3.5-ton warm-blooded animal requires significant fuel, and the Cretaceous provides it generously. The herd moves together. You have been in this herd your entire life, and you know every call in it. The old female at the front, the one whose crest is slightly asymmetric from an old injury, whose call has a distinctive harmonic because of it. She has been calling since before you hatched. Her call is the first sound you learn to distinguish from all others. She is not the leader in any formal sense. She is just the one everyone listens to. There is a moment, late in the dry season, when the river has receded and the feeding is poor and the herd has been moving for 3 days following the vegetation. You are hungry, and the young ones are calling contact notes more frequently than usual. Short, anxious bursts, checking that the group is still together, still close, still intact. The old female stops moving. She calls. One long note, then a series of ascending tones. You feel it before you hear it. The resonance of a fully mature crest at full amplitude, moving through the air and the ground simultaneously. 400 meters north, through dense forest, an answering call comes back. Then another. Then several at once, overlapping. A second herd. You have all heard each other calling for the past hour without knowing it. The contact notes from your group and theirs have been passing through the forest canopy the whole time. Now the two herds find each other at the river bend, where the water is still flowing, where the vegetation is dense and the feeding is good. You stand in the river for the first time in 3 days, and you drink, and around you the two herds intermingle, and the calls go back and forth. Greeting calls, contact notes, the low rumble of contentment. A conversation in hollow bone and resonating air that has been running for millions of years and will run for millions more. Here is what will be discovered about your crest long after you are gone. The reconstruction of your call will be played in a laboratory in New Mexico in 1997, and the people in the room will hear what 75 million years sounds like. Scientists will spend hours listening to it on repeat. People who have no particular interest in dinosaurs will share the recording online when it becomes available, and find themselves affected by it in ways they cannot easily explain. Something about the frequency, something about the knowledge of what produced it, something about the distance between that sound and this moment. Your call is not lost. It was always there, locked in the geometry of your skull, waiting for someone to measure it correctly. The herd is settled at the river bend as the sun goes down. The light goes amber through the conifers. The young ones are quieter now, the anxiety of the dry season receding as the water finds them again. The old female's call moves through the evening air once, low, slow, a long single note that is not alarm and not gathering, but something the herd recognizes as the end of a day. A closing signal, a resonance that means, we are here, we are whole, we made it through. You answer, your crest at full volume, your own call, the particular harmonic that is yours and no one else's, that every animal in this herd has heard 10,000 times and could identify in the dark, underwater, through a storm. The call goes out. Somewhere in the tree line, it bounces back as an echo. Then the other 30 voices answer, one by one, and then all at once. The air full of the overlapping calls of the herd. 30 slightly different instruments playing the same fundamental note. The sound of 3.5 tons of living animal announcing to the Cretaceous evening that they exist, that they are together, that the day is done. You lower your head to drink. The river moves. The herd calls. Thanks for watching. Please sub.